Gretzky, our interim GM. We're here to be available to answer questions. Bob's going to start with short introductory comments, and then we'll open it up to the media for question and answer. So we ask you please put up your hand, let us know who you are, and ask your questions. So, Bob?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. Just first of all, I appreciate everyone coming out today. I know that you have a lot of questions for us. That's why both Keith and myself are here together to answer any of the questions that you have on the OEG and the overall operations, and I'm sure most of them will be geared at hockey today, but I think we'll just open up the floor.
All right, go ahead. Ryan?
Bob, what's the situation with Ken Hitchcock as head coach?
Yeah, as I've stated before, when we signed Ken, it was to be the head coach to the end of the year. That is up at this time, and you know, Ken's well aware of that. We've had one-on-one meetings, and Ken will be with this organization in some fashion. Will he be the head coach? That will be determined as we name the general manager.
So if he's not head coach,
open. You know, as I go through the GM search, you know, we're looking at all various departments of hockey operations, and we'd see what best fits for Ken and what's right for the organization.
will the new GM make that final?
Yes.
Mark, go ahead.
Well, in searching for a new general manager, how much input will
Right now, we've had a lot of chats on that, Mark, you know, of the process I'm going through, but I can tell you that there are a number of candidates that I'm starting to interview now. The process is going to take a little while, but Daryl hasn't even asked me who all those individuals were. He just talked more about the type of person we want in as the general manager.
And it's perhaps uncomfortable with Keith here, but I'll ask it anyway. Is there any issues with hiring anybody whose last name is Gretzky?
Well, I'll look at one of the Gretzkys. No, you know what? Keith has built his own resume, and whether Keith is sitting here or not, you've seen what his resume, anyone that's been around hockey has seen Keith. And I will also say that I've really liked the job that Keith has done in the interim. But it certainly doesn't mean that that puts him up at the front of the list. I can tell you that there is no priority right now of everyone that we're interviewing, and I want to keep it that way. That will change as the process starts, but there's Wayne Gretzky and there's Keith Gretzky, and Keith has built his own resume.
Well, what kind of a deadline for identifying and where the challenge interviewing potential candidates? What kind of challenge?
Excellent question. I'd like to hire the general manager tomorrow, but that's not going to happen. As I've said before, I'm not going to rush the process. We're going to do a deep dive. I feel I've done a lot of work in, you know, preparing myself for the interviews, and now we're going to go through a process. I'd like to have the person as soon as possible, but I'm not sure how long that's going to take. Right now, I have a lot of individuals that I'll be able to get together with, and as soon as I feel we have the right GM, we'll make that decision.
Jim, go ahead.
You know what? And as I said, I'm not going to name anyone that I am interviewing. I've got a lot more leeway on who I can interview than I thought I would. There's might be a roadblock or two, but most of the general managers and organizations have been very good, and I'll get to have those discussions right away.
One of the things that fans of the team are saying, whoever comes in, they want them to say as to what happened from that point on. Before that person takes that job, it might be, will you be making any changes on the ops regarding people who are employed now?
I'm going to take that in two different directions. To be very clear, Peter Shirelli had full say from the day that he got here, and that's not going to change with the new general manager. Your second part of that question has been an interesting one that I've looked at, and I was looking at, should I make some changes now? And I've made the decision that I won't. You know, I'm going to have those discussions as we go forward with all the potential candidates, but I thought, you know, why go 2 steps or halfway? No, I want to do this in conjunction with the general manager who will take the lead in that area.
Right here. Yeah.
When players, you know, speak out about
You know what? Frustration starts right at Daryl Cates, to myself. You know, Connor's comment it goes right through the organization. Everyone's frustrated and everyone's disappointed, and now we're turning the new page over. I had great discussions with all the players. I think that everything from all the players to all the staff through the last day and a half, we have good information. We have really good parts in this organization, on the ice and off the ice, that we just have to build on, and we have to get some better pieces in both of those areas. Fans are frustrated. It's our job to get it right, and that's what we're going to try to do in the next month ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of perceptions out there about what's going on here. Some of them correct, and a lot aren't correct. When I hear some of them, I know that there's real good parts in this organization, and we've done some things very, very well, but not good enough. Every part of our hockey organization has to get better, and some have to get a lot better. But as you know, in the media, something is stated and it runs. It is just not true at all. It's not the time to be deflecting those. It's the time for us to put our work boots on and get it right. And there's a lot to do. And the first step will be getting a new general manager.
I think it's safe to say you guys haven't done as well as you want to this point. And you got rid of Peter, but why would you wait for the new GM to be the one to decide, you know, who's not coming back? Because it's clearly, it hasn't been good enough to this point. You feel people aren't good enough now. Why wouldn't you clear them out and let the GM, when he's hired, just focus on who he wants to bring in?
You know what? That's a great question. And I've just thought, you know, leaving the structure the way it is, so I'll certainly be talking about those weaknesses, because there are some weaknesses, and want to do that in conjunction with him so he gets the full picture. And there's a lot of people that I want to sign right now, and will be signed at 99%. But we've made the decision just to hold everything as it is today and then move forward.
One follow-up, Keith, for you. Is it GM or bus really for you? Would you be willing to stay in the organization?
Well, first of all, I do want to be the GM, and there's lots of candidates, and as Bob mentioned, there's his work he has to do, and you have to accept the process and move forward. And, you know, right now it's about the team. We have to get ready for the draft, and, you know, then we'll, you know, discuss it after the draft.
Bob, right there.
You just, you know, you're with the team the last 3 months on close to it. What do you, just a thought on maybe what strategic areas you think you need to with the hockey club moving forward?
Well, being around them for the last 2.5 months every day, and you watch the practices, you watch the games, and you can tell we're not good enough yet. We have great pieces for our hockey club, but I think we have to improve on a few areas, and that'll improve our hockey club. And, you know, it's speed and skill and transition game and get a lot, you know, have more puck possession.
At the end of the year, what's going to happen tomorrow? We're with Boston after the game.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't there.
No, I wasn't there.
What were your memories of that?
You know what, I think I was over in Europe when it happened because I could hear the Edmonton guys hooting and hollering in the middle of the night, so that's how we knew.
You did the job about 20 minutes, Bob. What were you back on that?
I was sitting on my couch having a glass of water and spilled it all over the living room. I was ecstatic. It was a very big moment. I'd only been in the job as CEO for a few weeks, so.
Now, can you both talk about, you both going to Toronto? Talk about, 6.5%.
Exactly. You have a chance to, you know, jump up. Teams have jumped up before, and you know, anything can happen, and that's the exciting part about it. So the way the system is, everybody has a chance, and even as slim as ours, and we're hoping to move up.
Yeah, the same thing, and you know, this will be an exciting time for our fans to see where we get to pick, and then I think really turns over the work back to Keith and his scouting group to see where we are and really narrow down onto that draft pick.
Over here, there.
Keith, when it comes to the draft, I know they charge you guys with the draft, but are you going to have the ability to make sure? How are you guys kind of approaching that side of it, knowing that the new GM's going to come in?
Right, you know, we have to be ready. I've told the amateur guys especially to be ready for anything, and if it's myself or another GM that comes in, we're ready for the draft, and if we want to move picks or slide down or move up, we're going to be ready, and it's, as Bob has mentioned, we're going to put our work boots on and go to work and be prepared.
Is that going to be your call, or is that going to be kind of the team? Well, who's going to make that call?
Well, it'll be the GM at the end of the day, whoever that is, and, you know, I know he'll go to us or whoever it is for to lean on for different ideas of the prospects and, you know, what we think can help our hockey club.
Jack, go ahead.
As someone who's obviously done a good job at this point, I don't know the process, but do you have a framework for what you look like? And the second part of that was, do you think in it for nearly 3 years gives you an advantage?
You know, everybody has their assets that you know, make them the guy. With me, I have the knowledge of being around for 3 years. I know what's in our system. I know what we have coming up. And I think being around for 2.5 months every day and watching practice and the games, you have a better handle of, you know, the players themselves as not just the hockey player, but off the ice. I think it's very important to have a rapport with them. I think I've done that. And of course, I have a plan. You have to be ready, and you know, I'm confident of what we need and to improve this club. But you're not going to get it today, so sorry.
Over here.
Well, I know you don't run a hockey club based on 12 or 13 years isn't your fault, but it's your problem right now. There are people who look at this organization and say, how can anybody remain, whether it's a scout, an assistant GM, whoever, who's been here for most or all of that time when there's been success? How do you tackle that one? Perception matters in a town where you need fans walking through the door.
Certainly perception is out there in a lot of different ways for us, and you know, it leads back to 14 years. I can tell you that I'm focusing on going forward, and the key is when you go forward, we'll build the structure from the base to the top, and when we do that, I will be able to stand up and really talk about the positives of that structure. That it may include people that have been here for a long time, because some of those pieces have maybe have done a very good job. And we have done a good job in areas. Keith can talk to it in a lot more detail than myself. Our shells were bare when Keith came in the American Hockey League. They were bare. We didn't have prospects. We have prospects today. And there are people involved in putting all of that together and how we're developing that. So the new GM and the group, and I don't want to put all the focus on the GM, because to me it's about the hockey operations. We have to improve our hockey operations. It'll be led by a general manager, but we have to make sure we get the right people in the whole operations to make it successful.
Go ahead.
Three describe the culture that they like. Words and blazing on their walls and that. What would it be for the Oilers?
Very good question. I think that from a manager's point of view, for the team itself or for them as a general manager? Okay, if I'm looking at a general manager, we really want to make sure we have full communication and within the whole hockey operations. We want to make sure we have talent identification in all areas of that. And the one other areas is we have to look at analytics and sports science to bring into the organization as we go forward.
Daniel?
Bob, I know you said earlier that you don't think you have the NHL.
Yes, I'm doing certainly the first phase of this by myself. I think it's the proper way to do it. I want to make sure that it stays very tight. When I go to the next stage, I'm going to see what comes out of all of those interviews and where we are, and then make that decision of how I'll go forward. I really have used all of my resources to build the types of questions, the types of things that will be included in those interviews. To someone that say that I don't have the NHL experience, you know, I've gone through this once, wasn't successful. I think that I've been around hiring in the sport of hockey as much as anyone in the game, and I feel very confident in doing this process because I've done it from Olympic Games to men's, worlds, juniors, women's. It's about getting to know the person, getting to know what you want in a structure. And I feel more confident today than I've ever felt in my life that I have a lot of various components that we can put in. I certainly don't sit here today and say this is what the hockey operations is going to be, but I think there's going to be changes, and I think it's going to be better for us because of the process that I'm going through.
Just a couple points on timing. When you said there might be a roadblock or two, and I know you won't get into specific names and stuff, but is it fair to say that there might be a few candidates who would be on your list who might not fall into your timeline, availability-wise?
Could.
You might not be able to.
Could.
Potentially. And are you concerned about, there's a few more teams now that need coaches, and that if you have to wait too long, that coaching pool thins?
Yes, you know, there's always going to be the reason you should hurry. I'm going to really take the patient route because you want to get get it right and get the general manager in place. There are a lot of good coaches out there. There's been good coach hired today, and there's going to be more, but that shouldn't change the process. Again, I'm not here to delay the process. I want to get it done quickly, but I really want to make sure that we're comfortable with that first step.
Let's go Maddie and then Jason.
Bob, would you consider
Yeah, you know what? We've looked at that at this time, and we're just going after a general manager now. Is that something that we look at in the future? Could be, but the general manager is the search we're looking for today.
make deals and stuff?
Yes, he does.
You know what, Maddie, right now, we're just looking at our club, and like I said before, you know, we all talk, Bob and I talk, 10 times, 20 times a day about our team, and to sit here and say it's okay, it's not. We have to make changes. The players know that. They're aware of it. And when something comes up, we'll make a deal. But you know what? We have to analyze everything. You look at just analytically, our possession turnover rates in our own end are very, very high, and that has to improve. So you start using the data and put it towards the players, and we have to improve in that area. Exactly, and when you have, the players that we have, they're high end, but we need some supporting, better supporting players, and our bottom six have to be better, and we can't rely on 2, 3, 4 guys to score every night, and I think we did that too much, and we're just waiting for them to always carry the torch, and it can't happen.
For you, I understand you don't want to talk about guys who are under contract with our report. But a guy who's technically a free agent, would Mike Gillis be somebody?
Certainly Mike is on the list of people that, I'm looking at. But as I said, I'm not going to talk about any names here because I have made contact. I know I've made contact, who I've made contact with. If it gets out to the media, no one in our organization knows who they are, and that's the way I want to keep it.
And Keith, for you, I think since you've been here, there's no debate the amateur scouting has been significantly better. The stockpile of young kids coming, at least looks way better. Meanwhile, there's a lot of pro trades that were big losses. Mm-hmm. How do you balance that out? What went wrong on the pro evaluation as somebody inside? How did you come to those conclusions? A lot of them look blatantly bad.
Well, you look at it, and on the pro side, I think a little bit has to do with we were trying to fix on the go with the injuries, and especially on defense, we were really shorthanded, and we overpaid, and the players didn't pan out, and of course it looks bad, and again, that's where we have to use all our tools of analytics and all our scouts and depend on each other to make smart decisions.
So when you say there's got to be changes in players, is it fair to say then that some of the pro evaluators got to be changed? Like if the players' analytics show that they're not good on the turnovers that you mentioned,
Right.
I think the pro scouting analytics was guessing, that evaluation wasn't.
Well, it's everything, and for me to say does it need to be changed, that's not my call today. It'll be the GM's call, and he'll go through and sift through all the scouts and everybody in the organization and make his decision on what he wants to do and to improve any areas.
So if you were the GM, would you make changes?
If I'm the GM, I'll sit back and evaluate it, and I have a plan, but I can't tell you my plan. That's just.
Jason, let's go to Rob. We've got time for a few more here.
You know how passionate a hockey market this is. Hitch has talked about it since coming here, and he's been in the game a long time. Framed in that, I don't want to call it pressure, but how much urgency is there on your part to get this right after the lack of success that fans, they're still coming, but at some point you got to turn this around.
We have to give the fans a plan, and we have to make sure the fans understand the plan, and it starts right away. As soon as the general manager is in place, we have to make sure that we're getting that out in front of everyone. The one thing I can tell you, we're going to be a much more open organization on communication in all different ways. That includes internally, had real good discussion with players, how we're going to buy them into decision-making processes. We got to clarify what that is, but we want the fans to feel more part of day-to-day operations of OAG in all areas, and that includes hockey.
Bob, where Connor McDavid is concerned, should he be part of, do you draw him in and have these conversations about decisions, being how important he is in the organization? Should he be part of that, and does he want to be part of any of that decision-making process?
I can tell you that Connor and myself have had a good dialogue. It's a lot talking a lot more lately because of the role that I'm put into. Yes, he has to be part of decision-making process. As the captain, we need leadership involved in, part of the process. To what level? Connor doesn't want to be fully engaged in it. So we have to find that out, not just with Connor, with all of our players on a lot of decisions that are made within the organizations. People want to be part of the process, and then they buy into the plan. So that's a change that we have in the world today, and that's something that we're going to try to really adjust within this organization. And I don't clearly have what all those are, but it's certainly something that we have to start to talk about and start to figure out as we work through the year.
He's good, it's, yeah, he had the MRI yesterday, so, we just keep on it and make sure it's improving every day.
Okay, last question.
Do you think the MRI did not show anything specific?
We can't go too far on it. We're still evaluating it, but it's not as serious as we thought. But it's Connor, it's an injury, it's serious for our organization.
The draft has become a more active trading ground than even the trade deadline. If this isn't a draft that the Oilers could let go by in the activity because you haven't hired a general manager, if you don't have a new GM in place, will Keith have carte blanche to make any trades that need to be made?
The one thing that Keith has, he has the authority to do that. And the other thing that I want to be clear, and I was going to just comment on another question earlier, we're going to use all of our assets. All of our assets, meaning everyone in pro scouting or amateur scouting is involved with the information to make the decisions. And that's going to be a key as we go forward. And that's where Keith's authority sits for the draft and making trades leading into the draft.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Good, thank you.